Hey, Fluent for Success family, how you doing? This is Steven back at it with another free lesson, free tips, free hacking guide, because I want you guys to succeed. Many people ask me, what language should I start learning today? How do I choose the right language for my path to success? And I always tell them one simple thing. What drives you? What's the reasoning you want to learn this language? How accessible are you to the immersion of this language? Is it something that you're surrounded by and you could speak every day? Or is it more of a challenge where you have less people in the environment to help you out? Therefore, you'll have to do everything by yourself. You'll have to immerse yourself through videos and other aspects. Definitely, you'll have to make that decision for yourself. I could always recommend for you guys, for the English speakers out there, I'd recommend starting with Spanish. It's easy to pronounce. It's a beautiful language. There's many countries you can travel to practice your Spanish. Living in North America, you have access to many communities that speak Spanish. And also, like I said, it's very easy to learn the grammar. It's very easy to read it because it's the same alphabet as the English one. So you have the Latin alphabet that you could read it, listen to, write, acquire all the knowledge you need, and keep practicing and immersing yourself in Spanish. Another wonderful language I recommend that would be great for people living in Canada or people who love the French culture would be obviously French. French is a beautiful language. For my personal journey, it's a little bit more difficult for the average English speaker to learn French as opposed to Spanish first, because in French there are many more rules than Spanish, and obviously there's certain letters that you don't pronounce. There's certain end suffixes and prefixes that you also omit. Therefore, you'll have to kind of study, practice, make some mistakes, and take your time with French. Another amazing language I would recommend is probably German. English, if you had known already, is based on a Germanic language, just like German. So some of the similarities between German and English would help you acquire, the feel for the German language, learn the grammar, and be fluent much more quicker than if you were to choose another language. Just like German, you have Dutch, you have Swedish, Danish. Those are Germanic languages that you would just have to alter a few letters, but more or less you can read what's on the paper. When it comes to Latin languages, I mentioned Spanish and French. You also have Italian and Portuguese. That are languages that everything you read is on the paper. Everything you see, you read. Essentially, if the word says casa, you read it as is. You don't omit anything. There's no silent E's like in French. So therefore, it might make your journey a little bit quicker if you're looking for that stepping stone in language learning. I want you guys to also think, where do you live right now? What will make your language learning path easier? If you live in Asia, you might want to learn Japanese, Mandarin, Cantonese, maybe Filipino or Indonesian, based on where you live, where you have access to native speakers, and how easy it is for you to practice that language. Because someone who wants to learn Japanese but lives in Florida or New York will have a little bit of a harder time than someone who lives in California, somewhere else on the West Coast, maybe Hawaii, or elsewhere in Asia. As well as think of what alphabet you know, because remember, if you can read the alphabet of the language you're trying to learn, you'll already eliminate the big step of learning a new alphabet once you get to a fluency stage. I would never go dig deep into an alphabet before I could even understand the language or have some sort of communicational skills. Please remember, figuring out what language to learn is not an easy step if you don't have any pull factor, if it's not economic, if it's not a job, if it's not a girlfriend or a boyfriend that's pulling you saying, listen, I come from Guatemala, I'd love for you to learn Spanish for me so you can communicate with my family. Maybe we can go there on vacation. I want you to be independent. That would be a great pull factor. There you go. You have Spanish. You have no better reason than to do it. Maybe you're interested in volunteering in Africa and the country speaks French or Portuguese or English. Therefore, you want to learn that language. And if you're a Spanish speaker or maybe a Portuguese speaker and you're trying to learn English and you're here listening to me for great tips, I want you guys to know, stick to the language that's closer to your language. Because if you're fluent in Portuguese, why not study Spanish and expand that to see the difference between your mother tongue, the similarities in another tongue that's close to yours, and you can quickly acquire those language skills and definitely learn that language much quicker. You have so many great tools, so many reasoning. There's so many millions of speakers who speak Spanish and French and Portuguese that if you're an English speaker or another native speaker of languages that are close, there's your answer. If you're looking at number of speakers, I would go to Arabic, Hindi, and Mandarin. Those have the most amount of speakers, but remember, those aren't the widely spoken languages. Just because you have 1 billion people in India and 1 billion in China doesn't mean you have more countries that speak those languages. So you have to weigh your pros and cons, and then you can go choose something that works for you, that will motivate you, that will give you a reason to continue learning and studying these languages. Guys, thank you so much. I love sharing information with you. Please subscribe, please follow me on Instagram, on Facebook, anything you gotta do to support me. I'll be giving you as much information as I could for free. Thank you so much, guys. I love you.